Hello and welcome to But He's Catholic. I'm Tom.
I'm Ellie.
And this week we're going to be doing the second part of our discussion of the Catholic priesthood. Sorry, you go ahead.
I was going to say, as promised, we'll be asking those difficult questions of Tom, all those ones that people probably Googled when they've come across it, like why can't they be women? Why can't they be married? Why do they have to be celibate? And I'm sure there'll be other questions popping up as well.
Yeah.
How do you feel about answering such controversial questions?
I feel like there's one I want to start with first.
Okay.
And yeah.
So, okay, you know what I'm going to ask, so which one would you like to start with?
Let's start with married.
Okay.
Because that's probably the least to me, I find that the least controversial one.
Yeah.
So let's start. I don't know.
Because no, you've made your choice. We're going to go with that one.
Right.
So, marriage.
Yeah.
As we said last episode,
yeah.
deacons
can marry.
You said more it's a case of they can be married and become a deacon, whereas with the priesthood, you have got to be, with being a priest, you have got to pick between, I guess, being married to the church or being married to a woman.
Yeah.
So, for example, you quite liked the idea of being a priest for a little while, but then you met me and decided it would be all pointless. You'd pick me instead.
Yeah. I think I had decided that before I met you.
Oh, rude. Okay. But yeah, basically, I guess, why can't some lovely man who wants to be a priest also get married and have a nice life with a wife and children?
So the simple answer is there is no reason. A priest can be married.
Wait, what?
So a priest can be married. There's nothing stopping a priest. So we'll get on to why Catholic priests currently can't get married. But there's nothing There's nothing in theology, Catholic theology, that says a priest can't also be married.
Right, so to go back to Fleabag, which I think is probably, at least in Britain,
you might need to explain what Fleabag is.
Yeah, for any listeners who don't watch Fleabag, well, you should. Season 2, it's all about she basically, summarising, she meets a priest. They really click, they hit it off. Obviously, he's a priest, so she's like, oh goodness me, I think I've fallen in love with a priest, like, trust me, to pick the man who I really can't have. And then it's kind of, their relationship is blossoming, but he's like, but I believe in God. She's really not religious at all. There's great jokes like that, she says something like, obviously it's not true, and then a painting falls down and he's like, I love when he does that, that iconic line. But basically the problem is he's a priest, they can't be together. And in the end, well, I won't spoil what happens in the end, you can watch it. So that whole thing that we hear time and time again, like in Fleabag, but like in countless other books and films and TV shows, I'm sure, it's not true that priests can't be married.
No, priests can be married.
Is it the celibacy thing? Is it a case of you can be married, but you have to be celibate?
Don't have to be celibate. So, it's what we call, it's not a doctrine, it's a discipline. So if we think about history, before, I think it's Middle Ages, so after the year 1000, after the millennium, celibacy and the requirement for priests not to be married becomes more common until it is declared by the papacy that that's how things are going to be in the Western Church. But,
so it's been decreed, it just isn't from the original days of Christianity.
In the original days of Christianity, priests were married all the time. Bishops couldn't be married.
Why?
That's a good question, I don't know, but bishops couldn't be married.
Right.
But traditionally, priests could be married. There are Catholic priests right now who are married.
Oh.
So there's lots of priests in England, and you might get this in America as well. Our listeners in America may have met some of these people where they've converted from high Anglicanism
to
and they've come over, but they're already married, so they just stay married as priests. I've had mass said by a priest that is married because he was a convert from Anglicanism.
And I guess it's more important to get the converts than to
maybe
than to not be married.
In the Eastern Catholic churches, the ones that you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them and Orthodox, so they're Orthodox Christians, but they are loyal to the Holy See, to the Pope.
Right.
So, and complete communion with the Catholic Church. They have married priests.
Okay.
In the Eastern churches and the Orthodox churches, their priests are all married.
Right.
The only condition is, I'm pretty 90% certain that you can't marry after. So you have to be married before you become a priest.
Right.
You can't become a priest and then be married.
Right.
You have to do it the other way around.
Okay.
But as theology goes, there is nothing saying a priest can't also be married. And that is essentially actually the Catholic Church, and even within the Catholic Church, the Latin Rite Christianity, because the Catholic Church is made up of lots of different rites.
Okay.
The largest one is the Latin Rite, which is what most people you meet are part of. But there are the Eastern churches, they're the Maronites, there are the Anglican rites. All these
Right meaning what?
Right
Is it that's like RITE?
The way of practice of the faith.
Okay.
The way you practice liturgy.
The right way to do things. Sorry.
Joke. But all of those other churches allow, as far as I'm aware, I think everyone but the Latin Rite allows priests to be married.
Okay, so why, you said that the church decreed it in the medieval time, so why?
So many say it's because what they were worried about was priests having land which then has to be divided on their deaths.
With children.
So
okay.
This way it would keep the land within, as feudalism was developing in the later Middle Ages in Europe. It stopped wealth and land having to be too much redistributed amongst families when the priest died.
Right.
Whereas if you had them celibate and unmarried, the land and the pension and the money wouldn't get redistributed.
It just goes back to the church.
It would just stay within the church.
I mean, you could have just made it law that it would have automatically gone back to the church.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, that would have been complicated because then you'd leave the poor widow and children.
It was easier they decided that's the cynic's answer. The other answer, and they're both probably equally true, is that it's always been kind of considered that it is better for priests not to be married to do a better job.
I can understand that. You're more focused. You've not got like
Kids.
Split interests. Yeah. You don't have to pick one over the other. You're not trying to pick your religion over your family or your family over your religion and duties and...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Because the common thing you hear is like, oh, well, I am married. I'm married to the church.
Yeah, that's why they have a wedding ring.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, priests have a wedding ring.
Oh, wow.
God, yeah. They're essentially married to God.
Oh.
But yeah, there's also a trend from the earliest days of Christianity. So the letter St. Paul, he discusses quite a lot about how the celibate life is the highest order of living, and how celibacy is the best way to live, and actually priests shouldn't be married, Christians should remain celibate.
All Christians.
Yeah, he's not saying it won't stop you going to heaven, but he's saying the higher order of living is celibacy.
But surely God wants you to have children.
Well, he appreciates that. He appreciates some people will get married, but his argument is that amongst the strains within early Christianity that were saying, oh, priests can be married, like St. Peter was married, probably. There's lots of strains saying priests can be married, priests can have families, Christians should have families. But St. Paul, there's a theme in his writings that does argue that celibacy is the highest order. And then that strain of thinking has always been within the church.
But what's his argument for that? Why? Because you're more focused? Like what?
That more focus on God, more time to pray, more time to dedicate yourself to God. So there's always been that element, and I think that also played a part in the Latin Rite Western church's decision to make the priests celibate, but also not being allowed to be married. And I think that's probably the biggest reason as to why that discipline has never been overturned.
Yeah.
And why it probably never will be overturned is because the Western Church does believe a lot in that the priest celibacy is important for the role of the priest,
right?
And helps them focus on their role.
Yeah, and I guess in the end, it's like the ultimate commitment, isn't it? It's not like any normal job where you just sign a contract, but you can leave. You can break the contract whenever. So a bit of a controversial one, and absolutely not my point of view at all. I just wanted to say that disclaimer before I even mention the question, but I have heard people make the argument that maybe if you let priests either not be celibate or get married, you would get less of those horrible stories about priests abusing children.
Yeah.
What's your
I think it's probably, yeah. I know there's another question you're going to ask, but there's these strains of what I call 70s Catholic thinking,
Right.
which is definitely, I complain a lot about 70s Catholicism.
Yeah.
And
All the bad teachings that happened
all the bad
there.
teaching, all the bad ideas, we can have a whole series on the 70s Catholicism.
I mean, that might be
and the
interesting
damage.
because my mum was raised Catholic, and I think the reason she is anti-Catholic is because of the teachings she was taught in the 70s.
Well, there's a mix of what happened in the 70s. There's both from the progressive end and the conservative end, but yeah.
Maybe we do.
I
We
tend
do
to
a nice
I
little...
tend to refer to, when I'm referring to 70s Catholicism, it's normally the
derogatory.
it's normally the silly progressive ideas that came out of the 70s.
Okay.
And that strain of thinking's still around because those people haven't
kicked the bucket
yet. But I do kind of think, yeah, it's a bit that way of thinking. It's a bit of an enemy within.
Yeah.
And they have lots of these silly ideas like this of like, oh, why can't you let priests be married? There'd be less noncy if you let them be married, or you'd have more priests. So let's start with the noncery. I think it's just complete. I don't know what you think, but I think it's just a completely stupid argument.
Well, absolutely. As we said when the individual in particular mentioned it not too long ago,
Yeah.
It's like, are you indicating that if you weren't allowed to be married, then that would be your instinct? Like, it's not related.
Yeah, I think there's a fundamentally is weird to make the argument that if someone has a dry spell,
they automatically
at some point will become a paedophile. Yeah, there's a big paedophile scandal in the Catholic Church, mostly historic. So this is going back to the 60s, 70s, 80s. But there was a period of time there's a big paedophile crisis in the Catholic Church, and abuse of children. I guess people linked that to, oh, they're not allowed to, they have to remain celibate. So the way of thinking is priests are celibate, which means they can't have sex, which means the longer you go without sex, the more chance of being a paedophile you are, which I think...
That's a completely false logic.
Which to me suggests that the people make these arguments suggesting that these dark, evil urges are within all of us.
Yeah.
And basically it's just a matter of time until it all comes out, which I personally think is complete crap. I don't think I have these dark evil urges. I don't think you have these dark evil urges.
I'm sure most of the population
I don't think most people do, and I don't think, no matter how long they had to go without sex, the vast majority of people wouldn't these dark evil urges wouldn't just suddenly appear. So it does make me really concerned about people that do make these arguments.
I guess what their argument would probably be is that they're not saying that the celibacy then leads to the paedophilia. They're probably saying that the type of person who knows before they join the priesthood, they know that they've got that kind of attraction and they're not attracted to like adults. They are like, oh, well, I don't really want to have sex with adults. So instead, I'm going to be celibate, be a priest. And then also, oh gosh, I get an opportunity with these like choir boys as well.
Yeah,
I know it's really grim to talk about, but do you not think that would be the 70s logic?
So what? How does not being celibate solve that?
But I think it's more of a, if I can't have what I want, then I'll just go into the priesthood. So it's not the celibacy that's causing it. It's the people are going, I'll just go into the priesthood.
Oh, this strain of 70s thinking that paedophiles become priests.
Yeah.
I don't
it's not that the celibacy causes the paedophilia. No, I think that the paedophiles go to priesthood.
That's an argument that people do make, but I think that's separate from this argument.
Okay.
I think people are saying if they're able to get some, then they wouldn't also be paedophiles, which I think, as I said, fundamentally flawed, quite concerning argument to make, because makes me start thinking, well, what's inside of you for you to think that
that's the thing.
Essentially, they want something to be like some kind of like stopgap.
Yeah.
They think being celibate for too long, causes people to be paedophiles.
Yeah.
Which I think fundamentally is a disturbing theory to make, which I think fundamentally untrue. They are arguing that essentially if you didn't have celibacy, they would be able to let off steam elsewhere.
Right.
So you wouldn't then commit these crimes, which I think is just complete rubbish, because actually, you and I, both teachers, we've had to sit through enough safeguarding training to know that actually the vast majority of abuse cases are happening within the home.
No.
Especially with the new partners that get introduced into families that then go on to abuse children.
Yeah.
I think if you're a paedophile, you're a paedophile.
Yeah.
Celibacy is not going to solve that, and I think that's a really, it's frankly quite a disturbing argument to make, and I think it's just complete rubbish, and it's not even supported by the data,
Right.
because if you look at, well, one, the vast majority of cases are committed by uncles or new boyfriends or new partners in families, and they're already known. So there's that. And then if you look at other organisations, Anglican Church, very similar problems with, in the same period, problems in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and now with historic sex abuse scandals.
Yeah.
Very similar numbers. They all get to marry.
Yeah.
So the idea that
So it's more of a 60s, 70s, 80s problem than a...
Yeah, well, yes, it was. It's all historic. That wasn't me saying it's no longer an issue or we shouldn't worry about it anymore. But my bigger point is that the fact that none of this is backed up by the data.
Okay, let's move on from that, because I can see that you're getting quite riled up. And it's a very, very poor argument for people to make. It's very, it's awful. What about the point that people have also made about, well, actually, maybe if you let them marry, more people would be priests?
Again, just not backed up by the data.
What kind of data?
So if you look, I'm not really sure about Anglicanism, because that's skewed by the fact that they allow women to ordination. So there's
we can come on to that in a minute.
There's a bit of an uptick in ordinations from women, but if you look at like churches around the world, so like Orthodox churches, etc., that we talked about earlier in this episode, that do allow married priests, they have similar problems with ordinations.
But what, do you not think that there must be people, I mean, perhaps even someone like you, who
agreed.
Really likes the idea of being a priest, but thinks it's more important that they have a wife and a family?
Yeah, I think I probably would give being a priest a go if I could.
So,
but if I'm
so exactly, you're a case in point of more people would become a priest if they could also get married.
But you've also got, so that's the fallacy of I can't remember the official word, but the fallacy of thinking you think like everybody else.
Yeah.
That if I want to do it, then there must be loads of people that want to do it as well. Just because I'm a case of someone that would do it, the data would suggest it makes no difference.
Yeah, but I mean, the data, like you've never been surveyed, have you?
I mean, if you look at the problems we have with vocations in this country and in the Western world, they are similar problems that other types of churches around the world have in the East, the Eastern churches and the Orthodox churches with vocations. But they all get to have married priests.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So that doesn't mean just because, and then again, yes, okay, I'm a case in point of probably someone that would become a priest, but I can't make the fallacious link that just because I would do something that would be repeated by thousands of others.
No, true.
But the data shows that
that's really bizarre to me, because I see that what you're saying, but there is data and it shows that being allowed to marry doesn't make a difference. But surely there is a massive and untapped reserve of people who are Catholic. No, surely there must be.
Just because you think something to be true doesn't mean it is.
No, I know.
But data shows that there is no difference.
You change the rules.
It's the fallacy of what you think.
Yes, I understand. But all I'm saying is that it'd be interesting to do a survey of like male Catholics and say, if you were allowed to marry, would you become a priest? Because I think that there would be, how many millions of Catholics are there in the world?
Yeah, but surveys like that are rubbish, because people go, yeah, I'll definitely do it.
Yeah,
and then they're like, oh, okay, well, you can.
Oh, it's quite hard work.
Go and do it. And it's like, oh, well, I don't want to spend 7 years learning about theology, and I didn't realise the pay was going to be that low, and oh, well, yeah, I know I said I'd do it, but no, I'm not actually interested in that. You can't.
I know. No, okay. I know you can't actually do a survey, but do you not see my point? I feel like it would be very illogical to think that there's so many millions of Catholics out there, and that if you widened the net of who can apply by saying you can be married or you can be a priest and then get married, you're gonna catch some more priests.
But why?
Well, we can agree to disagree. Because...
No, but you're just saying I think people are going to act like this because this is how I think people act, and normally it's about that fallacious thinking of thinking how I would think in this situation and reflecting it onto others, but it's not backed up by the data, so it doesn't mean it's not true.
Okay.
if things aren't backed up by data, it's not true, is it?
Yeah. Okay.
Just because you think people are going to act in a certain way doesn't mean they do. You need proof that they will act in a certain way. And currently, there is no proof that having priests marry changes vocation numbers.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's...
Churches that allow married priests have no better vocation numbers than the Catholic Church. And here is my killer argument to end is, this was a past problem. There is now huge numbers of people going through the seminaries. There's been a massive uptake.
Seminaries being...
where you go to be trained as a priest. There's huge numbers of people being trained compared to what we used to, where it was basically like, we all thought the Catholic Church was going to die 20 years ago, would die out, we're running out of priests. There are now the numbers of people going into seminary, like we talk about this quiet revival amongst the laity quite a lot, and the numbers going to church, more people going to church all the time. But if you look at the seminaries, like the numbers are really shooting up. Like numbers in France are brilliant.
Yeah.
Different states in the US, numbers are huge in seminaries now. In Britain, better, but it's not as dramatic. But okay, so there's a sudden rise. Nothing's changed about celibacy.
Yeah.
Actually, the fact that the numbers go up and down without a change suggests that actually what brings people into the seminary isn't whether there's celibacy or not. There's other powers at play that makes young men decide whether they will or will not go into the seminary.
Yeah.
Having celibacy there clearly has made no difference.
Yeah.
We had high numbers, then we had low numbers, and now we're going back to high numbers in the seminary. But the discipline of unmarried priests has remained the same.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. I'd say that is your killer, as you said, your killer argument. Okay. Wow. Things got quite heated there, but I think you can see your passion.
I've been sent into the corner to calm down.
I think the thing is, I know you've had this inside of you for a little while. You've had this like pent up frustration that things that like just actually day to day you've encountered people saying these kind of things.
These people.
And I've said save it for the podcast. We'll have this conversation on the podcast, and I think you've just had it waiting inside of you too long. Right. But so I mean, we spent like 25 minutes now talking about this, and it has been fascinating, and I do really like your arguments, and I think my heart still is like, but surely, but I completely get your the data doesn't back it up, and now you're seeing this like revival of people trained to be priests, so actually like that logic makes no sense. You can feel how you feel, but data. I do think though it might mean that we've run out of time for any other questions.
It was relaxing my ploy just so I didn't have to talk about women female ordination.
Well, no, you're not escaping that easily, because I want that question answered, so we will come back to that next week, and it just gives me another week to think of any more juicy, challenging questions for you about the priesthood. But yeah, so hopefully that is answered for everybody why priests can't be married, and also explain that actually it's not quite that straightforward. Mm-hmm. And also you have to go and watch Fleabag if you haven't already.
You have to now. It is a very good series, even though I enjoyed it.
Yeah, even if you're not a fan of the first series, the second season is definitely...
the second season's the best.
Yeah.
And you don't actually need to have watched the first season either.
It's sympathetic towards Catholics, I think. It's not like mocking at all.
No, he's a very, very... for a completely secular TV show, he's a very good presentation of a Catholic priest. I liked it, and you liked it, and you're sensitive to Catholic representation, so... Yeah, Catholic representation in the media is my bugbear. But I think you're right, I think that's improved. Yet another bugbear. I have a lot of bugbears. We could do a whole episode about Catholic representation in the media. I'd love that. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's definitely improving as well. Yeah. So thank you for bearing with us. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. If you have any comments, we would love to hear them. What do you think? Do you agree with Tom? Do you think it's really important to look at the data and not make the fallacy of other people think like me? Or do you actually secretly agree with me and be like, oh yeah, I can see the logic of widening the net must catch more fish? I'm not going to say anything. No, you're not allowed to say anything more. I think you've made your opinion very clear. Yeah. And it was a very, very good argument. I will give you that. So, join us again next week to hear about why women can't be priests. This has been But He's Catholic. Thank you and goodbye. Goodbye.